Welcome to this video on installing the second battery on the Ride 1 Up Roadster. Let's get to it. Inside the box you'll find almost everything that you need to get the project done. The battery, the bracket, the extra charger, the mount, the hardware, a new tool, zip ties, and also keys for the battery lock. Hopefully you still have the bike tools from when you bought the bike in the first place, because we are going to need a 4mm hex key. Also, you could use wire cutters or scissors for the zip ties at the end, but I'm sure you've got something like that hanging around somewhere. First, let's go ahead and charge the battery while the rest of this is going on. Extra points for efficiency. Okay, using the 4mm hex key, let's remove the screws in the accessory holes. If you have an accessory there already, it will need to find a new home. Alright, now we've got to install the mounting plate, this long bar right here. Included is hardware with 3 different screws, and they correlate to the 3 holes on this plate. The first one to go in is the countersunk screw. It's the smallest screw, which also aligns with the funnel-shaped hole in the plate. This gets mounted in the lower side of the accessory holes onto the bike itself. We can go ahead and get this pretty tight. Next is the 2 screws that hold the battery bracket onto the mounting plate. We will need the medium and longer screws for this. The long one goes through the bracket and through the mounting plate and screws into the accessory hole from the bike. It's kind of buried, but you'll find it. The medium-sized screw mounts the bracket onto the top of the plate. Okay, let's go ahead and tighten all of these down. If you want, you can check the clearance by putting the battery in here, make sure it all pedals and everything. Should be fine. The wire that comes out of the bottom of the battery, we're going to route this through this little space in the front of the rear tire. We're going to tighten it up later, but this path gives us the most slack to work with. Okay, let's jump into the intimidating part, which is connecting the electrical wiring under the bike. Don't worry, it's super easy. You're going to love it. All right, first things first, let's go ahead and turn the bike off. Next, use your new tool to remove the plate on the very bottom of the frame. A little bit later, we're going to replace it with the new one that was included with the battery kit. With the plate out of the way, go ahead and reach in there and pull out the controller, which is actually this little box of magic. It's got a few wires coming out of it, but don't be shy. Our goal here is to plug in the new battery wires in between the connectors that go into this magic box. The connections coming out of the new battery are made in such a way that they only fit in one direction, and they're even labeled as well. Separate the main battery plug and insert the new battery connections in its place. Piece of cake, right? With all of this together, let's take a second to test it out. Turn on the display on the handlebars, make sure it still runs. Looks good. Okay, this next part is the simplest, but also the hardest part of the project. We've got to get the controller and the wires back inside the frame. If you want, you could just jump in and cram it in there yourself, but I'll tell you what worked for me. What I did was disconnect these 2 small plugs, and they are color-coded, so I wasn't afraid I was going to mix them up. And after I unplugged them, I put the new battery connection on the top of the controller and slid this stuff in together. After that was in, I reconnected the small plugs, and then I just pierced them into the empty space on the bottom of the bore. It worked pretty good for me, and I've actually done this a couple of times because that's what it takes to make this video. Okay, we are almost there. Next, we're going to replace that bottom plate with the new one, because the new one has a larger opening for the additional wire. Then, we're going to put the zip ties on the new wire and get it away from the back tire. I mounted one here and then another one there. I'm going to doll that up a little bit. All right, very nice. Now, before heading out, I've got to lock the battery into position because it actually can bounce around if things get too crazy. Congratulations, you have now leveled up your Roadster. Let us know if there's another topic that you'd like to see covered in a service video, and other than that, we will see you guys later.